to WNBA free agency, and it has been crickets. It has been quite boring. I can't even lie to you guys. I cannot sugarcoat it. I was expecting there to be breaking news almost every hour. Like, I thought that we would be hearing rumors about where these players were going, what teams that they were talking to, possible trades that were going to happen. And all of yesterday was relatively quiet. Like, the biggest news that we got yesterday in WNBA free agency came from a balloon company. Yes, you heard me correctly. It came from a local balloon company. Amazing Balloons Minnesota posted on their Instagram this reel, and it was basically them building this welcome NECA sign with a bunch of balloons on the Minnesota Lynx practice court. Now, fans saw this and they were like, what's going on? Excuse me, what's going on? We haven't heard any news about NECA visiting different teams. We don't know what teams are interested in her. We don't know what teams she's interested in going to until we saw this from a freaking balloon company. Like, by the
It sounds almost unreal, like something from a different era, but it reflects a real tension the WNBA has had to navigate. When details of Caitlin Clark's rookie contract became widely discussed, it didn't just spark headlines, it ignited a massive conversation about how the league is structured. This wasn't simply about one salary, it highlighted the gap between individual star impact and the collective bargaining system that determines pay. Clark, the #1 overall pick who helped drive unprecedented viewership in women's college basketball, signed a standard rookie scale deal worth a little over $338,000 across 4 years, with a first-year salary around $76,000. For many fans, that number felt shockingly low given her influence, especially when compared to the NBA, where even late draft picks often earn significantly more under a completely different financial model. The reaction was immediate and intense, spreading across media, fans, and public figures, and raising broader questions about revenue, investment, and how quickly the league's financial growth can translate into player salaries. What it ultimately exposed wasn't a hidden secret or a cover-up, but a system still catching up to its own momentum, where rising popularity, expanding media deals, and increasing commercial value haven't yet fully aligned with player compensation structures. Second Sports show, every news channel, and every social media feed was buzzing with the same question. How could this .it felt impossible to ignore? How could a league that had worked for years to gain attention suddenly find itself under this kind of spotlight for the wrong reasons? The conversation quickly shifted from excitement about Caitlin Clark's arrival to frustration over what her contract revealed about the system. As the backlash intensified, the pressure moved directly onto league leadership, and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert stepped in to respond. But instead of calming the situation, her media appearances left many fans unconvinced. Rather than focusing directly on the salary structure itself, she emphasized broader improvements, like the introduction of charter flights, increased marketing opportunities, and growing investment across the league. While those points are valid and reflect real progress, they didn't fully address the core concern people were raising about compensation. To many observers, the response felt like it was shifting the conversation instead of
time this reel was taken down. I think it had been up maybe an hour, 2 hours. It had 40 likes. This is not a massive company, okay? But they have become the breaking news reporters like of the WNBA, and it was crazy. And it was actually so funny because Neko Ogumake, she posted on her Instagram account alluding to this because fans started freaking out. Like, fans were like, there's no way that this is real. There's no way that a balloon company is breaking the news before the WNBA reporters. Like, where's Shams? Can Woj come out of retirement and start covering the WNBA? But Nneka posted on her Instagram, she said me, and then it's like the balloon company. She posted this meme. Then she posted, a balloon company clearly thinks they're the birthday. They're a little confused. They're the surprise party. And then she posted something else that said nobody. Me because I can't travel in peace. And it was funny. Like, I loved her making light of this. And that's my biggest thing about free agency in any sport. Like, free agency is supposed to be fun. Free agency is when the fans run wild with different theories. Free agency is about the rumors. Free agency is when reporters are sharing news that might not totally be accurate. Like, they could say so-and-so team is interested in so-and-so player, and that might never pan out, but that's what free agency is. And I feel like any of us who have been watching other major sports leagues, like, that's what we look forward to about free agency. We look
confronting it head on. The more those talking points were repeated, the more the frustration grew, creating a perception that the league wasn't fully acknowledging why the reaction had been so strong in the first place. Seconds behind the curtain. She painted a picture of a league that was making progress, but it felt hollow. Each time Kathy Engelbert pointed to improvements like charter flights, critics pushed back with the same response. Those upgrades matter, but they don't change the reality that the league's biggest draw is earning a relatively modest base salary. As a result, the messaging didn't land the way it was intended, and for many fans it felt like the core concern was being sidestepped rather than addressed directly. The reaction only grew stronger, with people questioning how a player generating so much attention could be tied to a standard rookie-scale contract. But the deeper layer of the story is where the financial picture becomes more complex. While Caitlin Clark's league salary follows the collective bargaining structure, her overall earnings extend far beyond that framework. Even before playing a professional game, she had already secured major endorsement partnerships, including a widely reported long-term deal with Nike, along with additional agreements involving Gatorade and Panini America. These opportunities, driven by her visibility and market appeal, represent a significant portion of her total income and highlight how modern athletes often earn the majority of their money outside their league contracts. This contrast doesn't mean the salary discussion isn't valid. It simply shows that the business side of sports has evolved, where endorsement value, media presence, and personal branding now play a major role alongside official league compensation. The $76,000 salary didn't just look small. It looked utterly insulting. She quickly became more than just a player. Caitlin Clark turned into a full-scale business force, driving attention, revenue, and visibility at a level rarely seen in the sport, while her official league salary remained only a small piece of her overall earnings. That contrast created an uncomfortable spotlight on the WNBA, highlighting how much impact one athlete could have relative to the league's existing structure. It raised a bigger question for fans. If her market value is so clearly high, why doesn't her salary reflect it? The answer lies in the league's framework, specifically the collective bargaining agreement, which governs salaries, benefits, and working conditions across the league. This agreement, negotiated between the WNBA and the Players' Union, establishes fixed rookie pay scales, meaning Clark's contract was essentially set before she was even drafted. The current CBA, signed in 2020, was built to create stability and ensure balanced compensation across all players, not just top stars. At the time, it reflected the league's financial reality long before the surge in attention and growth that followed. What we're seeing now isn't a refusal to pay talent. It's a system that hasn't yet fully adjusted to how quickly the league's visibility and commercial value have evolved. It was a system built for a league that was slowly and steadily growing, not one that was about to be hit by a cultural. That same agreement has now become a limiting factor. The collective bargaining agreement effectively locks the league into a structure it can't easily change for one player, no matter how influential she is. The WNBA
And saying like, well, I don't do this. It's like, that's number one. If you're going to work in this media industry, you got to take your emotions, your feelings out of it. Like, fans are going to be mad at you no matter what you say. They're going to. You're going to have to build relationships. You're also not going to have the greatest relationships with other people if you have better relationships with other. It's just how this industry works. And you just do the best that you possibly can to put out honest, fair information. But it's like, that was the biggest thing that I noticed with some of this discourse. I was like, why are some of these media members replying so emotionally? Why are they being so sensitive to fans saying, we want to hear more? That's actually not, it is kind of a shot at them because we're not getting what we're used to getting when we're watching other sports, but take your feelings out of it for a second. Like, also don't let the fans see your feelings. If you're actually feeling this way, like, go cry in the shower. I do that often. You know what I mean? Like, if I need to let it out, if I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling whatever, go cry off camera. You don't need to bring everything online, cry online. And again, I'm not singling out any one WNBA reporter. I'm not trying to do any of that. But I just felt like it got a little bit too like personal and emotional. And that's step one if we're going to do better when it comes to reporting around the WNBA. And that's kind of something that I've been calling out for the past few years is like, we have to be able to talk about the basketball in an objective way. We have to be able to talk about the game that's in front of us. We have to be able to break down players. We have to be able to say, this player is better than this player. This player is a better shooter than this player. And like without feelings getting involved, this is how you continue to grow the game. This is a fan media dynamic, player dynamic. All of it works together to help grow the game. The more discourse that we have around the game, the more the game grows. And so I feel like, again, it's kind of a missed opportunity for WNBA free agency because the discourse, the rumor.
What this situation really highlights is that the issue goes beyond one athlete. It's about a system designed for a different stage of the league's development, now being tested by a surge in popularity that few could have predicted. At the same time, the impact of Clark has been immediate and measurable. Early games saw dramatic increases in viewership, in some cases doubling or even tripling compared to previous seasons, while arenas across the country began selling out to meet demand. The visibility, the energy, and the commercial momentum all grew rapidly, making the contrast between her market impact and her structured salary even more noticeable as the league continues to evolve to get a glimpse of the new face of the sport. Her jersey, music. From the moment she entered the league, Caitlin Clark wasn't just another rookie. She became a catalyst for growth, driving ticket demand, television ratings, and merchandise sales in a way that the WNBA hadn't experienced before. In many ways, her presence acted like a surge of momentum the league had been waiting for, but that success also created an uncomfortable contrast. Every sold-out arena, every spike in viewership, and every increase in revenue made her structured rookie salary, around $76,000 in year one, stand out even more. It created a situation where the player contributing the most visible impact wasn't directly benefiting from that growth within the league's salary system. This placed the WNBA in a difficult position, celebrating unprecedented attention and expansion while simultaneously facing criticism over compensation structures that hadn't yet caught up to that level of impact. The rapid rise in visibility made it clear that the league's existing framework was being tested in real time, as Clark's influence continued to expand faster than the system designed to support it. And as that gap between impact and earnings became more widely discussed, the pressure didn't stay limited to headlines. It began to shape narratives around the team environment, media coverage, and on-court dynamics, introducing a new layer of intensity to her transition into the professional game. While Clark was being hailed as the savior of the league, many veteran players, women who had toiled in, for years, many established players had worked to build the WNBA's foundation, so when Caitlin Clark arrived with unprecedented attention, it naturally shifted the spotlight in a way that felt sudden and dramatic. That shift created a noticeable tension, both in how the league was covered and how games were played. On the court, opponents often matched her with intense, physical defense, hard fouls, aggressive pressure, and a level of contact that sparked constant debate among fans and analysts. Some viewed it as a standard, welcome to the pros, adjustment that all rookies face, while others believed the attention surrounding Clark amplified every moment, making routine physical play look more personal than it might have been otherwise. Viral clips of tough collisions,
the rumblings, the fan theories, all of that stuff grows the game. It truly does. All of that stuff adds to the excitement. Like, these fans are ready to see, like, who is going to be on my team this season, and they're just truly not getting that. So I will also say, you guys, I've always felt like my job as a media member, I've never been a breaking news reporter. And I've also kind of straddled the line between mainstream media because I've done a lot of stuff on television. Like, I've done sideline reporting, I've done studio shows, like I've done appearances on the morning news, like I've done all of that. And then I've also done a lot of work in the digital space and with social media. And so I feel like I've kind of straddled that line. I went to school for broadcast journalism. I understand all of it, but my job in the media has always been commentary. It's never been to like get the the scoop, break the news. I've never been the Shams of the world. And so I've always taken what these kind of reporters share and then commented on that and given my sort of commentary and my opinions and created the conversation around this news that breaks. But with that being said, I have actually been frustrated that we haven't been hearing a lot. So I was actually on phone calls for like the past hour or so trying to get something for you guys. And so I'm not going to promise you guys that I'm going to be able to get any information. Like, I'm relatively new in the media space when it comes to covering the WNBA, how I've been covering it, but I want there to be more discourse. I want to push the game forward. So if I can add any value, if I can get any insights about any players, where they're meeting, what they're doing, what we can expect from free agency, I'm going to do that to the
and flagrant fouls only added fuel to the discussion, turning isolated incidents into league-wide talking points. This created a complicated narrative. Was it simply competitive basketball at the highest level, or a reflection of deeper frustration tied to shifting attention and recognition? The situation placed the league in a difficult position. Protecting players and maintaining fair competition is essential, but so is preserving the integrity of the game without appearing to favor one individual. At the same time, the influx of new fans drawn by Clark's presence raised expectations around how the game is officiated and presented. The result has been a broader conversation about the league's identity during a period of rapid growth, balancing respect for its established stars while embracing the momentum brought by a new generation negotiation of its media rights deal. This is the billion-dollar fight on the horizon, and it will determine that the future of the WNBA over the next decade may ultimately hinge on its next media rights deal, with the current agreement, worth roughly $60 million annually, set to expire in 2025. That deal was negotiated before the surge in attention brought by players like Caitlin Clark, and the league now finds itself in a far stronger position than ever before. With rising ratings, increased attendance, and broader mainstream visibility, industry expectations suggest the next deal could climb into the hundreds of millions per year, potentially multiplying current revenues several times over. That kind of financial growth represents the most realistic path towards significantly increasing player salaries across the board, as a new collective bargaining agreement would depend heavily on expanded league income. This is why Cathy Engelbert has consistently emphasized growth metrics. Every sold-out arena and every strong broadcast number strengthens the league's position in negotiations with major partners like ESPN and Amazon. The stakes are significant because the outcome of these negotiations won't just shape media exposure, it will directly influence how much players can earn moving forward. In many ways, the league's trajectory is tied not only to on-court performance but also to its ability to demonstrate sustained audience demand to broadcasters, making this upcoming deal one of the most important turning points in its history. High-stakes gamble. If Engelbert succeeds, she could usher in a new golden age for the WNBA with higher salaries, better facilities. Ultimately, the situation surrounding Caitlin Clark and her roughly $76,000 rookie salary represents far more than a simple contract discussion. It highlights a pivotal moment for the entire league. What we're seeing is a rare convergence where a player's influence is accelerating the league's growth faster than its existing structures can adapt. Clark has brought unprecedented attention, revenue potential, and mainstream visibility, positioning the WNBA for a level of success it has long pursued, while at the same time exposing limitations within its current financial and organizational framework. This includes salary structures tied to the collective bargaining agreement, evolving media expectations, and the challenge of balancing rapid growth with long-term stability. Under the leadership of Cathy Engelbert, the league now stands at a defining crossroads, one where the next decisions around media rights, revenue distribution, and structural adjustments could shape its trajectory for years to come. The opportunity is significant: transform rising popularity into sustainable success and improved conditions for all players. But it also comes with pressure, because moments like this are rare, and how the league responds will determine whether this era becomes a lasting breakthrough or simply a missed chance to fully capitalize on its momentum.
Caitlin Clark, Leah Boston, Michaela Timpson, and Damaris Dantas. And that's it. So I'm going to hold my judgment until I see what else they do, hear what other rumors might be going on, but I just don't know. And speaking of one of the hottest free agents currently on the market, Alana Smith, I know we talked about her in our last episode, and she said that she was open to taking meetings and she might not be staying in Minnesota, but there has been rumors that the Liberty are interested in Alana Smith, and I hope the Fever are also on that list. I'm just going to say that. But I would say like there has to be multiple teams that are interested in Alana Smith. I feel like she's just such a good role player. She's just such a good piece to a contender's team. She's got to be up there. She's got to be up there on a lot of people's lists, and I feel like she could play a lot of different styles too, depending on the coach. But gosh, if the Liberty grab her, we've already heard from Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart that they are staying in New York. So if they add her to the mix, and Jonquel, we've also heard rumors that she will also be staying in New York. So if they had a starting five of like Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, Alana Smith, and Jonquel Jones, and you add one more to that, you add a point guard to that, like, I don't know, the Liberty will be quite scary. And so that's why I'm kind of thinking with the Fever, like they might need to shake it up a little bit. They might not be able to do the run it back method and get as far as they did last year. Moving on to the Chicago Sky. So the biggest news with the Chicago Sky is they sent Angel Reese to Atlanta, and we talked about it. It seemed like they gave her up for not so much. They gave her up for 2 first-round draft picks in 2027 and 2028. But now it was just announced that the Chicago Sky and the LA Sparks are in discussions over a trade that would send Ariel Atkins to the Sparks for Rickea Jackson. Multiple sources told Annie Costable. While nothing is finalized, an announcement is expected on Saturday. Rickea Jackson is really good. Rickea Jackson is really good. She's really young. And so maybe the Chicago Sky were clearing some space. I personally don't.
The conversation quickly shifted from excitement about Caitlin Clark's arrival to frustration over what her contract revealed about the system. As the backlash intensified, the pressure moved directly onto league leadership, and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert stepped in to respond. But instead of calming the situation, her media appearances left many fans unconvinced. Rather than focusing directly on the salary structure itself, she emphasized broader improvements, like the introduction of charter flights, increased marketing opportunities, and growing investment across the league. While those points are valid and reflect real progress, they didn't fully address the core concern people were raising about compensation. To many observers, the response felt like it was shifting the conversation instead of confronting it head-on. The more those talking points were repeated, the more the frustration grew, creating a perception that the league wasn't fully acknowledging why the reaction had been so strong in the first place. Seconds behind the curtain, she painted a picture of a league that was making progress, but it felt hollow. Each time Kathy Engelbert pointed to improvements like charter flights, critics pushed back with the same response. Those upgrades matter, but they don't change the reality that the league's biggest draw is earning a relatively modest base salary. As a result, the messaging didn't land the way it was intended, and for many fans it felt like the core concern was being sidestepped rather than addressed directly. The reaction only grew stronger, with people questioning how a player generating so much attention could be tied to a standard rookie-scale contract. But the deeper layer of the story is where the financial picture becomes more complex. While Caitlin Clark's league salary follows the collective bargaining structure, her overall earnings extend far beyond that framework. Even before playing a professional game, she had already secured major endorsement partnerships, including a widely reported long-term deal with Nike, along with additional agreements involving Gatorade and Panini America. These opportunities, driven by her visibility and market appeal, represent a significant portion of her total income and highlight how modern athletes often earn the majority of their money outside their league contracts. This contrast doesn't mean the salary discussion isn't valid. It simply shows that the business side of sports has evolved, where endorsement value, media presence, and personal branding now play a major role alongside official league compensation. The $76,000 salary didn't just look small. It looked utterly insulting. She quickly became more than just a player. Caitlin Clark turned into a full-scale business force, driving attention, revenue, and visibility at a level rarely seen in the sport, while her official league salary remained only a small piece of her overall earnings. That contrast created an uncomfortable spotlight on the WNBA, highlighting how much impact one athlete could have relative to the league's existing structure. It raised a bigger question for fans. If her market value is so clearly high, why doesn't her salary reflect it? The answer lies in the league's framework, specifically the collective bargaining agreement, which governs salaries, benefits, and working conditions across the league. This agreement, negotiated between the WNBA and the Players' Union, establishes fixed rookie pay scales, meaning Clark's contract was essentially set before she was even drafted. The current CBA, signed in 2020, was built to create stability and ensure balanced compensation across all players, not just top stars. At the time, it reflected the league's financial reality long before the surge in attention and growth that followed. What we're seeing now isn't a refusal to pay talent, it's a system that hasn't yet fully adjusted to how quickly the league's visibility and commercial value have evolved.